Line coach Chris Wilson. This is his second tour here at CU. He was here from 2000 to 2004. Chris, it's probably too early to compare your group now to the likes of Tyler Brayton, Justin Bandon, Matt McChesney, Brandon Dabnoob, and James Gary and others. But Chris was the coach on our 2001 Big 12 championship team. So if you want to open up with some kind of comment, Chris, and we'll take questions.
Well, what I will tell you is there's still a lot of talent in the covers here at CU. And it's comparable. We just hadn't put it on tape enough, but we've got really good talent here. My job is to make sure we develop them. And I like the group we got. I like their competitive edge. They're working really hard every day. And the biggest thing is how we're transitioning from where we were a year ago to now. And there's a lot of good carryover. And so I'm excited about the group.
Great. Once again, if you have a question for Coach, shoot me an indication in chat. First question is up from Justin Guerriero from CU Sports Nation.
Hey, Coach, appreciate your time. Hope you're well. Just wanted to talk about your good to hear. You've got your 3 returning starters in Mustafa, Terrence, and Jalen. And just curious, a couple days in now, you get a chance to evaluate them, see them with helmets on and some meaningful reps. Just what is your evaluation of those 3 veterans early into camp?
The same. I really don't have any starters right now. I got a depth chart. And I got guys play reps. And the beauty of this group is everybody has played some reps last year, which is kind of a bonus for us. Those guys have had the most reps and they understand the scheme. But I think the balancing act right now, Justin, is that the techniques are a little different. And so we're trying to create as much competition as we can across the board. And to me, when you can develop 2 deep, 3 deeps on your roster, that's when you become a championship quality program. And that's the process right now.
And Coach, if I could follow up right on that note, notice on the pencil depth chart, Mustafa moving to tackle as opposed to defensive end where he played last year. Could you touch on that just a little bit, just what you're kind of having him do differently, if anything, this season from last?
Really nothing, and for us, everybody's an X. And so you're playing gaps. And so if you want to call it a tackle or if you want to call it a nose, it really doesn't matter because the assignments aren't really different. We're very multiple. And so we'll have a lot of guys doing same as in multiple positions. So we do that because it always helps us to play the next best player instead of playing the next best position. So everybody plays everything.
And we go back to the old days where we list the entire defensive line in a pod, right?
That's exactly right. You remember those days.
Next up, Adam Munsterteiger from Buff Stampede.
Hey, Coach, speaking of Mustafa Johnson, what have been your early impressions? I know you're only 2 practices in, but does he remind you of any defensive lineman you've coached before?
He's pretty similar to some of the guys I've had a chance to coach in especially one of the guys I had a chance to coach in Philadelphia. And I'm not saying he's Brandon Graham, but he's got that kind of diversity. He can play end, he can play tackle, he can line up at the nose. He can really play all 3 positions. So he gives you a lot of position flexibility. And so again, I hope he has the same kind of career that Brandon Graham had for us at the Eagles, but that would be a comp for him because he can play a lot of positions on the defensive line.
Not seeing anybody else with a question. Oh, here we go. Alex Ramirez from The Final Word. You're on mute, Alex.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Coach Wilson, good morning. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us. Day 2 in practice. Obviously, you guys, it's kind of weird now that you're barely starting your practicing now after what's been going on with this pandemic. What's the message you give your team, though, as you guys are getting prepped up for the first game? Because, we're all so used to having, we should be already, week 4, week 5 into the season. Now it's barely going to be week 1. Coach, what's your message to the young team?
It's the playing ground's fair. Everybody's had to be still. It's a pandemic. So no one's got an advantage. It's what we do while we're in it now to, keep our players healthy, keep their mindset in the right direction, and then the constant improvement. That's what it really comes down to. It's daily improvement. And again, it's very similar to what I experienced in the NFL the last few years. OTAs, we were able to get some of those early. get a chance to get a window to have a break and get their bodies in shape. And then now we're right back in the training camp. So, we're just being really smart with the reps and making sure we're maximizing those reps and kind of working them through their progression.
Well, cubuffs.com, formerly of the Boulder Camera, Chris. Neil, you're on mute.
Coach, just a quick question about rotation. Are you a guy that likes to get 6, 7, 8, 9 guys into the game kind of on a regular basis to keep people fresh, or would you rather play 3 or 4 guys until they don't have any legs left?
I like to be like the Chinese army. I want to be a billion strong. As many good players as I can get coming to play, I want to keep rotating them. And you do that by creating depth and developing the bottom part of your roster. And also what that creates more than anything is just quality competition. And so we don't want the drop off. So the more guys we can play at a high level, the more competitive we become and the faster we play. So depth is definitely can be an ally during these tight times.
All right. Thank you.
Gary Chisholm from DNVR.
Hey, Coach. So the team is now at the hotel in the bubble. I'm curious, first off, how much time you plan on spending at the hotel, but also if you think that there are any advantages that can be gained from having the team all together for 2 weeks, outside of obviously limiting the spread of the virus.
Well, obviously, number one, help. I think anytime we can isolate ourselves, and it helps us obviously track who's coming in and who's coming out. But 2, it gives us to build some camaraderie, and get a chance to be with one another. And I think that's really important, especially under the circumstances. Guys have been really secluded, quarantined. So I really like this. I like this opportunity for us to be together. And again, I don't know how much time I'll spend. Depends on how much my wife wants to see me.